if you are struggling with leaping into a new identity, or you feel that the old identity keeps pulling you back and taking you away from the desired reality, because there is the old identity and there is the identity where you get everything that you desire. Okay, so you have to move from this point to that point in order to live the life that you desire. In order for you to do that, it will take some sort of friction, because you have to move or leap into that new reality. Now, in order for you to do that, you're gonna be met with resistance. And it is simple physics, right? You can understand it in physics, you can understand it in spirituality, you can understand it however you really feel like it, whatever resonates with you. If you are more on the science side, then use physics to understand this. Let's get into this, right? You want to experience your new reality, whether it is the money that you desire, the relationship that you desire. You are in the old identity and you want to experience a new identity. You don't have to create it. All you have to do is move into it, right? But as you're moving into it, you might meet with resistance, and it's perfectly fine. But you have to be stronger. It's like a plane ready to take off, but it knows that it has to break through the wind. In physics, right, you have something called aerodynamics. So you have to break through the wind, no pun intended, in order for you to take flight. Now, in aerodynamics, right, the plane has to push against the resistance of the wind in order for it to fly above it. Now, guys, it is the same thing in our lives. We will be met with resistance, and it's completely fine. But you have to remember, as in the Bible, it says the fight is spiritual. It is not flesh and blood. It is spiritual. We are spirits. This spirit that we have, that is animating this body, is who we truly are, and this is what leads us. Unfortunately, trials and tribulations can separate us for a little bit. Some of us, we're detached. It's happened to me. If it never happened to you, then that's it. Great. If you don't believe in that, great. But I happen to have had this experience, and I know what it feels like when I'm trying to move, but I don't know what is happening. It's as if I wasn't aware of anything. I was not in control of anything. But once I found again the connection through the source of me, my being, that awareness, that God consciousness, things started shifting. Was I met with resistance? Absolutely, but it's okay. And I was pushing forward. I was stronger than anything that was coming forth. No weapons formed against me can prosper. It says it in the Bible. This is what you believe in, then use that in order to understand. Commune with your own heart, before you go to bed, so that you get stronger when you wake up, as you are about to break through. Right? That's what it is. That aerodynamic, that breakthrough, that propulsion. You're pulled backwards in order to move forward, to be pushed forward. So you move into your new identity. I'm going to remind you of a movie that I watched when I was a kid, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I remember when the silver cup fell into the molten steel, all these new faces that he had stolen, all these, identity that he stole to trick people, right? They were coming back to the surface screaming, because why? They wanted to survive. And these are the ways that old identities that were built in order to trick you into remembering, into you forgetting who you truly are. They're gonna try to come up again through the surface as your ego. The false identity is burning away, is melting away. And this is exactly how it is. You're going to have everything come back to the surface. Somebody that you haven't heard from for years come back with a story that you try to bury and forget. And here they are coming back, trying to pull you back into, you're not going to be able to change. There's no possibilities for you. You have to fight through it and know that the ego needs to melt away. The ego needs to die. Whatever you want to call it, the false self, the false God in you. You want it to die, and this is how the only way is to let it melt away inside of the molten steel, just as in Terminator 2. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the scene where T-1000 is melting in the pool of lava, that pool of molten steel, right? And all the old identities, or the identities that he stole, I think he had Sarah Connor at some point, or the adopted mother of that kid, right? And the cop and all that, right? They're coming back to the surface. All those false identities, the that are trying to pull you back because they're trying to survive. You have to fight through them and say, no, die of those old men and women, of those old habits that do not serve you, and bring yourself into the Christ consciousness, into the consciousness of God, into source, into what you truly desire, which is love at its core. Right? And that's what you're going to do in order to leap forward, in order to move forward, in order to jump into this new identity. You're going to have to allow that to happen. Do not be afraid. It says it 365 times in the Bible. Do not be afraid of whatever's taking place in front of you. It is scary. It is scary. It is like you're crossing through a dark valley. But doesn't it say that though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not be afraid? Because you know that God is leading you to green pastures. So this is how it is. You will get to the green pastures, you know. You will. And you have to keep your focus right here. Right here, your desire. Picture it right here. Close your eyes. Look it up right here in the movie of your mind, in the theater of your mind. Because this is what it is. There's no reality but right in there. Picture that reality that you desire. I am with you because I've been through this for a long time and I didn't know any better. I didn't know that I needed to reside right here. I was, in the external world a little too much because that's what I've been taught. I was relying on the external factors, waiting to see something happen for me to feel good, when it needed to happen right here in the kingdom of God in order for me to see it outward, right? So I'm here to remind you of that. I am Kati. This is the metaphysical wolf. We are metaphysical beings. And metaphysical beings mean that everything that happens for you happens within the kingdom of God. It happens within your spirit. Because the fight is not the flesh and blood, it is in spirit. This is where you reside. This is where everything happens. And I've said this before. In Haitian spirituality, everything that they do it in the unseen. And then it manifests in the seen. You manipulate energies in the unseen first. And then you have the power to manipulate them in the seen. But you have to understand that before you're able to do that, your spirit needs to be strong. Your spirit needs to be fearless, strong, unbreakable, unpenetrable by anything, any outside factors. You have to understand that. You have to always remain seated at the right hand of God. That's where your spirit is. That's where it is the strongest. I hope this message gets through to you because it is needed. To be reminded how to make your spirit strong and not let anything attain that being right there. Because everything comes from you. Use your mirror. Do mirror work. I don't care. Use your mirror because you're talking to God when you're talking to yourself in the mirror. Because God made you. You are part of Source and Source is part of you. You're one. Everything that emanates out of you emanates out of Source. Thank you for watching. My name is Kati. This is the Metaphysical Wolf. Reach out to me if you have any questions. The Resilient Mind 369 at gmail.com. God bless.